Hi, dear listeners, and welcome back to Blush and Bloom, the podcast where we talk about women's health, self care, and everything in between. I'm your host, Gigi, founder of Asale, your space for cycle aware and preventive care. I'm really glad you're here with me on this journey to unpack women's health and highlight the incredible things being built in this space. So let's get into today's episode. All right. Hi, Jennifer. It's wonderful to have you on the podcast. So, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Mariam Grey Pharmacy and how it came to be?
Hi, I'm happy to be here today. I hope your Sunday is going great as well. My name is Jennifer Esiaba. I'm a pharmacist and I have, I would say, over a decade experience blending pharmacy, AI, cybersecurity, just generally to solve healthcare access gaps in Nigeria. And how did Mariam Grey come to be? I would say it was born out of frustration, to be honest. When you watch people struggle to get basic things like good healthcare, good health advice, is something that's quite bothersome and has always been bothersome to me. And so I thought, hey, we can build something around this. So we started as a traditional brick and mortar pharmacy and then eventually evolved into a tech enabled pharmacy, where patients could get real-time consultations, get safe medications, and be sure that it's original and authentic, whether they're online or offline, whether you have internet access or not. So what we want to do basically is just to restore the trust that people have in healthcare, one person at a time.
That's really exciting. And I like that you're blending your background with pharmacy and then also like adding AI and cybersecurity experience to this to like make it very a better experience basically for the average Nigerian, which is really, really good. Okay. So you mentioned already that like the pharmacy was born out of a frustration with the system. So what made you like, was that exact moment that made you take the leap that like, okay, I want to become a founder now? Like I want to move from being a pharmacist to be a founder. How has it been so far?
Okay, so I used to be a shop floor pharmacist for the longest. And then, interacting with patients, I realized that being behind the counter sort of limits how much impact that I could give to whoever walks through the door. And then that's how I decided, hey, I need to do something more, something that empowers me to empower people better. So a founder, I am able to, I can reimagine the entire patient journey from the beginning, like diagnosis, delivery, taking the medicines, even post medication, completion. I can use tools like, AI, multilingual supports, to reach the farthest and most rural parts of the country. And I feel that was like a light bulb moment for me. When I stand behind the counter, I can help one person per time. As a founder, I can help thousands of people at once. So that was it for me.
Okay. I think like when it comes to AI applications, like when you mentioned multilingual support, I was like, okay, this is actually very interesting because I think when we're talking about applying AI to healthcare tools or even tools in general within Africa, I don't think multilingual support has been mentioned a lot, like enough. How important that is. Like that is very impressive actually.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's very essential because, speaking about your health, something personal, maybe fertility or sexual health or mental health, you want to be very comfortable with whom you're expressing your innermost secrets to. Not everybody speaks English. It's nice that we can chat in English. Not everybody speaks English. Some people feel more comfortable speaking their native language. And if I'm speaking English to you and you're trying to tell me your hidden secrets, you just feel like I'm giving off some sort of air and then you just start to hold back. And that's not what we're trying to do. If we have to speak in Twi or Pidgin or Yoruba so that you are comfortable and I can help you properly, then that's what we'll do.
That's really awesome. And it's also really great to hear that because I know that there's a lot of work going within the AI community, especially in Africa, around like preserving language preservation and keeping the languages alive with AI. So it's awesome to like see that like it's actually being used in the form of like actually applied to products. That's really, really cool. Okay. All right. So from your experience so far, let's talk a bit more about like your experience as a pharmacist in general. So like from your experience, what are some of the most common reasons people, especially women, come to your pharmacy?
Okay, definitely off the top of my head, period pain, fertility questions, normal, skincare, infections, weight management, most common things that we see, especially with women. what they come for is only like the surface of their issues. Underneath all of this, you can see that there's a gap in information access. There's a lot of myths surrounding all of these things. And, there's deeper health issues that we need to solve.
Agree. And which is why I was super excited to have you on the podcast, because like there are so many, I think like we approach things from one perspective and forget like how pharmacists are in this conversation with like, because you guys are like the nearest doctor basically for, for like saying like Nigeria or maybe Africa as a whole, like sort of how it's like, I think it's similar for other African countries as well. Like we usually approach you guys to ask you questions and then it's like, because there's that gap between, I think for other places, there's usually like you have to pass through a doctor and get the prescription first.
Yeah.
But in our case, you just like go straight to the pharmacist and get off the counter medicine for almost everything.
Yeah.
So this is fun. Okay. And I'm also intrigued by like the skincare part of it. Like people come to you for skincare?
Definitely. People come for skincare, people come for acne, people come for the weirdest things. But the great thing is that, there's boundaries and we can only do so much. But because of the network we're building, we're able to easily refer you. If we can handle it, with the pharmacy level, we do that. Otherwise, when it goes beyond that, we're happy to refer you to an esthetician, a dermatologist, and all of these people are on our network. So it's still a holistic experience for the patient.
That's like very, very important. And it's great to hear that. So are there questions you hear every day that show you how little people are told about their medications?
Yes. Can I stop taking my antibiotics once I feel better? This headache I have is so bad. Can I take these 2 painkillers at the same time? I want it to go quick. This things like this just show that, medication safety is not something that we're taught. And even if we hear it, the message is not being passed across as clearly as we like it to be. Yeah.
When you said that, it just reminded me of the time I actually asked the pharmacist who's a friend, and I asked him like, can I take a malaria medicine with Felvin? In retrospect, I was like very. This is really a weird question to even ask because I didn't know, because I know like Felvin is different components than regular like ibuprofen or something.
Yeah, or paracetamol. Yeah. I mean, we see all sorts.
Okay. So that makes sense. And has there been any patterns on how women self-medicate or treat conditions like, say, hormone issues or infections or period pain? Like, has anything stood out to you so far?
I would say that, often we see women trying to DIY hormonal balance. They see things on TikTok, they see things on Instagram. There's the trend of trying to get your skin lighter, trying to lose weight, take off 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms in 30 minutes, all those things you see on social media. And it comes along with phony, unsafe drug combinations that they tell them to take. And, most times these things are influenced by social media trends, like I said, and there's little understanding. They don't even understand the long-term harm of what they're doing. So this has been a pattern that we have observed, especially not only with women, everybody when they start to self-medicate.
Yeah, I agree. I think like part of the reason why it scares me to combine anything at all is because like I think I was talking to another person that was on the podcast, and then we were talking about our backgrounds and how we apply them to femtech, and then I told her that I think the summary of my biochemistry degree would be any and everything can be a poison depending on how you use it.
True. Including water. Very true.
That's like the summary of what I learned in school. Anything can be poison. So I like to like ask and double check to be like, can I combine this drug with this drug? Can I combine this food with that food to just be very, very sure?
Best. That's the best. That's the best approach, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So I'm actually intrigued by, you mentioned like people are coming to you, you're receiving requests about like skin lightening. Like this is a whole conversation that can be a whole podcast episode by itself.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, well, so speaking of like drug combinations, like are there any that Nigerians should be aware of that they aren't aware of and maybe combining unknowingly?
The unfortunate thing is that, ignorance doesn't absolve us of the consequences of what we do. You see people mixing antibiotics with alcohol, people overusing painkillers that contain things like caffeine. People are combining herbal bitters with proper prescription drugs, or Again, skin lightening, beauty industry, there's people that are mixing all sorts, steroids inside of beauty creams. And,
Mhm.
these things cause actual harm for people, but we normalize it and it's just a normal thing. You want to clear off some hyperpigmentation or something on your face, just use, I don't want to call any brands, but just use this cream that is, that it's a combination of steroids and it's not supposed to be used long term. And it's not even the medicine alone that kills, it's the dangerous way we mix misinformation and convenience and make it a habit. That's the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, well. So mixed, like, speaking of mixing things, like you already mentioned a couple of things that people are mixing, like herbal
Mhm.
mixtures with regular medication. So are there any like specific foods or herbal mixtures or drinks you often warn people about when mixing with the, like when you assume somebody's definitely going to mix something with their medication?
Yes. The first and the quickest one that comes to mind is grapefruit. As nice as it sounds, harm-free as it sounds, it interferes with a lot of medication, especially for blood pressure, cholesterol, even anxiety. If you're supposed to take one tablet of a medication and you take it along with grapefruit or the juice of grapefruit, it multiplies the effect of this medication. So it seems like you're taking 5 or 6 tablets instead of one. So you're getting all the side effects of all those 5 tablets by just taking grapefruit. Obviously, alcohol as well. What this one does is literally just increases all the side effects that come with things like antibiotics, antidepressants. Eventually, it can cause liver damage or very, very bad drowsiness. And
Mhm.
some even dairy products, milk, yogurt, or cheese can slow down how your drugs work. Like something like tetracycline now that you take for running stomach or
Mhm.
ciprofloxacin, they're all affected by this dairy type products. Caffeine, with or without medication, you take a cup of coffee and you're having the jitters. That can also multiply and cause some sort of heart problem if you take it with certain medications. For example, like asthma medicines or some weight loss medicines, natural medications, herbal bitters. In Nigeria, we call it like agbo because these things are not, I'm not saying they're bad. I believe in traditional medicine a lot, despite the fact that I'm a pharmacist. However, these things are unregulated,
Mhm.
unmeasured. Therefore, it can interact dangerously with certain medications. If a person is using like blood thinners or diabetes medications, sometimes it will just mask the symptoms while worsening the illness. That's why we always ask, tell your pharmacist, tell your doctor everything you're taking so that they can advise you better. Something as helpful as greens, leafy vegetables. In Nigeria, we have one like spinach.
Mhm.
Many people say, oh, you use this and it helps to increase blood volume, it helps with anemia. But can you imagine that this thing, that's such a great natural plant, can also reduce the effectiveness of something like if you're taking blood thinners, like warfarin, if you eat this in large amounts. So combining fruits with medications can also cause unwanted side effects. And these are the things that you are supposed to speak to your pharmacist about, and then they can guide you properly.
Actually I got something else. This is really interesting. It's good that we're having this conversation because like and then I also agree with you around because I think like something that people would want us to discuss as well is like traditional medicine because it's very popular in Nigeria and I think also parts of and maybe even like parts of Asia as well. But then it's like it may not necessarily be a bad thing, but since it's unregulated and because I
Yeah.
mean the medication that we get it's from herbs and fruits and other like derivatives of these things.
Yeah.
So, like in general, like, what are your thoughts on traditional, like, people drinking random things? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, first of all, let me say, I believe in traditional medicine when used the right way. It is a part of our culture here in Nigeria, in Africa, and some other parts of, like you said, Asian countries. And some of these medications have actual proven potencies. Many medications, like you rightly said, are derived from plants that people use traditionally. So the problem is not the tradition, it's the lack of, regulation or standardization and
Mhm.
safety checks, obviously. When you buy all these herbal bitters from the roadside, they don't know the dosage. You can't guarantee the purity. They don't know whether it interacts with any other medication you're taking because you most likely won't even discuss this with them. We've seen patients mixing prescription medications with herbal remedies, and ending up with something as huge as liver damage, or reduce this medication effect that causes something even bigger. So maybe some research and, validation should be done regarding our traditional medicine, because if we're able to do this, it can regulate the doses people take. If we can educate people more on safer way to use traditional medicines, we can protect our heritage while keeping people safe at the same time.
That's really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So back to people misusing things again. So how do you see people misusing painkillers and antibiotics, and what worries you the most about this?
I think the strongest worry with misuse of painkillers definitely would be addiction. And then with antibiotics will be resistance. Everybody, a lot of people are just popping pills. When you have unprotected sex, there are people that have it in their mind. They need to take a certain medication to, in quotes, cleanse their system. Maybe just stress or fatigue. Some people feel like they need to take something to clear their system. I don't even know where this idea came from. And, the more people do these type of things, the more we empower the microbes to be stronger, and they don't receive these medicines anymore. So generally we have first line, second line, third line. We have run through first and second line. These days, many people only respond to third line. So what the danger is resistance. What happens when we exhaust all the medications in third line? We have to start going back to research, development, looking for new antibiotics to treat basic illnesses, just because we don't want to use medications correctly.
That sounds absolutely terrifying. And fingers crossed that it doesn't, more people learn about the impact of what they're doing. And we don't get to that extent, because that is absolutely terrifying to realize that we may actually get to the point where I don't want to even imagine that.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, that's why we exist and a lot more other companies exist, just to help you. All you have to do is take it the correct way. You feel better and you help everybody. It's like during COVID when they were talking about herd immunity. By protecting yourself and doing the right thing, you're also helping every other person on the planet.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a bit more about drug abuse and misinformation. So what do you think contributes to the casual misuse of medication? Like, is it the lack of access or education, or is there something else?
I will definitely put it down to both of them. Drug abuse, I will speak from the standpoint of where I come from, which is Nigeria, just from a mix of factors. Here, there's easy access to medications without prescriptions, and that's what we're trying to also curb. You can walk into plenty pharmacies or chemists and buy strong antibiotics. You can buy codeine. I mean, there's some regulation that is being put in place. It's getting better, but I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of misinformation from social media and our friends. People, advice is now shared like gossip or gist, not backed by science. Somebody just said, oh, I took this thing one time and it worked for me. It then becomes sort of like a safe escape in everyone's mind that whenever you have something similar, you can take this thing that's X used and it will work for you as well. There's a lot of lack of health education. Many people don't know the difference between symptom relief and treating the root cause. And, they're just combining things, they're just doing things. And outside of all of this, we still have basic economic pressure. Instead of paying for a doctor's visit, people just take things by themselves. They Google, they ask the friends, they think they are saving money, but, most times it often costs more in complications if anything were to go wrong. We have a very, very, we still have our cultural nuances and habits. Some people see taking strong medicines as proof that you're taking your health, seriously.
Seriously.
Exactly. Even if you're taking the wrong thing, they just feel like, oh, you are doing the right thing. Go ahead, right on. And it's a mix of all of these things. It's not even as much that, oh, there's so much fake medications in circulation. It's more like there's a lot of fake advice in circulation, and fake advice, misinformation is just as dangerous as taking fake medications.
That makes sense. I agree 100%. And okay, speaking of this, I think something, because I was recently like scrolling on social media and saw that somebody recently got poisoned by supplements. And I think like aside abusing like drugs, medication. I think
Mhm.
another thing that people tend to misuse would be supplements, say like vitamin C or multivitamin or something. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, have you had any experience around a patient or somebody walking in and just packing way too many?
Yes. Ethically, even for pharmacists, we have to draw a line. We have to draw a balance between just grappling for sales
Mm-hmm.
and for the well-being of the patient. It's your duty as a pharmacist, as somebody that has integrity, to know when to tell the patient is okay, you can stop now, because it's not all about making sales. People sometimes forget that, supplements are not candy, it's not sweets. Actually concentrated doses of vitamins, minerals, or herbs. And they can be just as harmful as taking prescription medicines if you take them the wrong way. I've seen cases where people mix and match supplements. For example, they take two different multivitamins. They don't even realize that they are doubling or even tripling certain ingredients, like maybe vitamin A, iron, or something inside that. And in high doses, this can cause actual poisoning. This can affect liver. This can even cause heart problems. Now, what happened with that person who got poisoned is like a reminder that, once something is natural, it doesn't always mean that it's safe. And taking more of a thing doesn't always mean that you get better results.
Yeah.
Even things as basic as vitamin C, supplements generally, they should be taken with proper guidance. Actually need to check your nutrient level in your body before you start taking multivites. Not because you saw a nice looking influencer or a friend swears by them, you just jump on it and start taking it. The effect it has on your body can never be the same effect it has on the next person. So the line between a supplement and, a poison is oftentimes just the dosage. And too many people are crossing that line and they're not even realizing it.
And as you were speaking, when you were talking about like it's the responsibility of the pharmacist to factor in their patient and not just to make sales.
Yeah.
Right. Of a time where I needed to get malaria medication, and then the pharmacist was trying to sell me antibiotics, and I was like, antibiotics for what? Like, I was so confused because I was like, no, 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 no. This is where like that thing I studied in undergrad is going to be useful now. What do you mean?
I know. I mean, I get it. It's a business. I get it's a business and you're trying to drive sales, you're trying to drive revenue. But I mean, there's an unspoken rule. You should have some integrity and know when to draw the line.
I agree. Okay. All right. So another question for you would be, so what's something you wish every Nigerian knew before walking into a pharmacy or buying drugs over the counter?
My God. What advice? Or just something I wish that they had at the back of their minds. I wish every Nigerian knew that the pharmacy counter is not just like a shop counter. It's like the last point for your safety. The way that you describe your symptoms, the way you tell us your medical history, and the medicines that you're already taking, whether it's prescribed, whether you are the one that just started taking it, whether it's multivites, these are the things that will determine whether you get something that heals you or you're taking something that would actually harm you. Too many people just come in and just ask for a brand name because they heard it from a friend and they don't even know if it's the right medicine for them. Medications are very, very powerful. They actually can save lives, but it can also cause very, very big problems if you misuse them. So if you walk into a pharmacy with the right information and you also have like an open mind to advise and basically trust your healthcare provider, you will leave with something that is far more valuable than a prescription. You will leave with your safety. You will be okay. And I'm not saying this, just speaking from the fact that I'm a pharmacist. You can also ask questions. If a pharmacist or a healthcare provider tells you something, like, you were speaking about wanting malaria medicines and you were also giving antibiotics. Is that sometimes some people give this, assuming that maybe there is a secondary underlying infection. Let me just add it. But I mean, it would be helpful for the pharmacist to ask, hey, do you have this other thing? Do you want to maybe run a test to check? And then, I'm sure the conversation could have gone a certain way where you would have been more comfortable to ask, and why are you telling me to take this? Do I need this? Why do I need this? And not just I'm hereby prescribing you this, take, is good for you. If you
Mhm.
make the patient comfortable enough and you explain to them, they can also be open enough to say, oh, I took some antibiotics 2 weeks ago. I don't think I will be needing this. Everybody leaves happier. It's not
Mhm.
just making sales. And again, the patients will not have it at the back of their mind that this person just wants to collect my money. They know that, oh, this person is after my well-being. So it's, again, another balance needs to be.
That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. But the thing is that I actually like asked her like, why would I need the antibiotics? And she couldn't give me a straight answer. So I was like,
That one was definitely for sales, just revenue generation.
oh my God. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about like women specifically, like, because you already like mentioned some key points already, like combining some things around skincare, so combining things with weight loss medication with some other things. Like, so far from your experience, let's talk about this specifically. Like, what medications or combinations do you often see women taking that they may not realize could be harmful, especially when it comes to like fertility, skincare, weight loss, all these other things?
I don't know how I'm going to start this. I think the first thing that I would say is women face actual problems.
Mhm.
As in, there's actual problems that we face from childhood. There's period wahala. When you become a teenager, there's acne, you want to look good. And you're a young woman, you want to be in shape, you want to lose weight. Then you get married and you're trying to get pregnant. And then there's the menopause phase. So it's just back to back. Oh gosh, it's a lot. But I mean, it's fun. Some people
Yeah.
combine hormonal pills and some types of injections when they're trying to have glowing skin. You see people mixing all sorts, glutathione, tranexamic acid. Sometimes they take it for skin, sometimes it's for weight control, sometimes it's even as crazy as, oh, I have a wedding or I have an event, I want to delay my period. And they don't even understand that while sometimes your pharmacist or your doctor can guide you correctly, if you do these things wrongly, you can increase the risk of something as big as blood clots. You can cause for a person high blood pressure, or the hormonal imbalance that you're trying to avoid can actually spring up when you mix hormonal pills and things together. The newest fad now, everyone is trying to be in shape, everyone's trying to lose weight, everyone's trying to be snatched. There's a lot of unregulated weight loss medications. Many of them contain some sort of stimulants that can cause palpitation. The person just realizes that they are feeling their heartbeat, you are hearing your heart. Yeah, you can literally, in quotes, hear your heart in your neck, because the palpitation will be something else. It will cause insomnia, it can cause anxiety, and people are just popping different types of painkillers. There's the obvious menstrual disorder, and you need to take some medicines for that. But if you combine very strong painkillers without proper guidance, for example, the ones that have like caffeine or codeine or these things can cause dependence, and you get used to it. And without these medications, you can't even do anything. And all medicines go through the liver. You are overwhelming the liver at the end of the day. For skin brightening, there's some companies that mix steroids inside either the pills that they sell or the creams. And it would actually brighten, to be honest. But whilst it's doing that, long-term effect is that it's thinning out the skin, is weakening the person's immunity, is damaging the organs over time. But in the immediate now, your skin is popping and everyone is telling you, oh, skin is tea. What's your skincare routine? But you don't understand the actual harm that is causing over time. For things like maybe contraceptives that women use, high dose emergency contraceptives, they're supposed to be used emergency once in a while. Well, you find out that some women are repeatedly using this instead of using it like occasional backup. They make it like their regular birth control, and they're popping these pills that are really, really high dose every day or every other day. And this can easily disrupt menstrual cycles. This can easily cause hormonal problems. So, like we earlier said when we were chatting, it's not, the danger isn't always the medicine itself. It's usually in the wrong dosage or the wrong reason for taking it, or most especially the wrong combination.
That makes sense. Okay. This is very interesting. People are taking day after pills as regular birth control. That's wild. Okay, this is fine. So okay, sorry. This conversation is leaving me discombobulated a little bit. I'm also learning that you can take grapefruit with medication and you can take caffeine with medication. You can. So I think this is very important that women know this.
Yeah, it's very, very important because one the same medicine two women can use. One woman, the same medication that is safe for one woman's body can be very dangerous for another woman. And the only way to know the difference is to ask questions before you actually swallow that medicine.
That makes sense. Okay. So from what you've observed and from your experience as a pharmacist and also running Mariam Grey, like what's something that you've observed that no textbook could have taught you?
I would say it's very different. It's very different what we learned in school and what we are seeing. As in, I mean, obviously it's not worlds apart, but like one thing I've learned from experience that I feel I couldn't have gotten from a textbook, I couldn't have imagined is how much emotion and culture can shape health decisions. I've seen people that they decide to take a medicine not because that's the safest thing for them to take, but it's because they want their neighbor or their auntie swore by. They will not listen to anything you say. I mean, I've seen women hide. Nobody asked them to come. They literally came to you by themselves, but they will still hide the symptoms out of maybe something like fear of judgment. I don't want this person to think I am this or that. Men actually say they're not going to get treated because they believe it makes them look weak. And, I'm an alpha, so I'll bear it. I need to, you know, textbooks will teach you the science, but they won't prepare you for the human side, how people are afraid, what people believe in, and the mistrust that they have. Am I sure this person doesn't just want to collect money? Am I sure this person is saying the correct thing? Whether they will decide to take your advice or ignore it, it's just I've learned that being a pharmacist, it's not just about being able to prescribe or dispense medications. I have to listen without judgment. And it's not that I'm not judging in my mind. My facial expression must not be judgmental as well, regardless of what I'm hearing. And I also have learned that many times I have to meet people where they are and just first gain their trust before they can listen to me.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're going to add something?
No, that's fine. It's just like medicine is good, but somehow, I don't even know if this is scientific or not, but it just feels like medicines will work if the person trusts you enough to take it.
I mean, they also Okay. So all right. So we've discussed like in general, like how it is as a Nigerian working in pharmacy. So I wanted to like discuss more a bit about Marian Grey itself because I'm really intrigued by your platform. And I wanted you to like so for someone who doesn't know what Marian Grey is about, we already talked about it like earlier in the podcast, earlier a few minutes ago. But like what are like your favorite features of your platform basically?
I feel like the typical thing people say, I feel like a kid in a candy store. Okay, I will just chat about what we do and just share a few things that excites me about this. I mean, everything excites me, but I mean, there's a few things that I feel are it. So we're now a tech-enabled pharmacy platform that connects people to licensed pharmacists and doctors so that they can get actual, reliable, and verified health information, health advice. They can purchase medicines that they are sure are authentic, and they can have these medicines delivered to them, regardless of their location, anywhere in Nigeria within 1 hour. Now, we're able to do this by partnering with other pharmacies. And we have like a platform where we onboard this pharmacy and we become like an inventory aggregator. So when a customer purchases, it's just like Uber. The closest pharmacy that's a partner to us will get the order and one of our riders will pick up. And so the turnaround time is usually about 50 minutes, 60 minutes, thereabout. And so you get your medicines very quickly. We have onboarded over 1,200 pharmacies currently. We cover about 16 local government areas in Nigeria and we're growing. So it's great, amazing. You can just, the same way you order Deliveroo or Uber Eats, you can just order Mariam Grey and have your medicines very quickly. So features that excites me, the most, I would say sometimes you don't even want to get that doctor's consultation. As amazing as it sounds, sometimes you just want to Google. But Google can tell you that you literally have a few hours left just because you have, and you start to panic, you start spiraling, you go down this rabbit hole. But what if you had, and you don't necessarily want to talk to anybody? What if you could chat with a verified Google in quotes, an
Mhm.
AI assistant that would tell you exactly what it is. And if perchance you actually do need to go to the doctor, she'll let you know at some point that, hey, okay, this and this and this, maybe you should take this to the doctor. And she'll plug you in right there to the doctor. So very casual, very stress free. And so this is our AI powered assistant, and we like to call her Mommy Grey. So she's an elderly, it's just like your mom or your auntie or your grandma that's gray with wisdom and knowledge. And she's always there to answer your health questions every time, 24/7. You just come on the platform and have a conversation with her, and she'll sort you out. And like I said earlier, she's able to also plug you into the doctor when needed. Like she'll just give you, hey, this is a doctor you can speak to. And then it's really, really nice and sweet. And I also like the fact that people can converse to doctors in their local languages, any language that you feel comfortable in. It's not English, if it's your local dialect. We have multilingual doctors onboarded as well. And you don't have to step out of your house or your office. You don't have to stay on a long queue in the comfort on your bed. Anywhere, you can just have these services offered to you. Now, there are a few other, there's some, I wouldn't say a few other, there are online pharmacies that you can buy medicines from. But, these online pharmacies only serve people that have internet access. They only serve people that have smartphones that you can log onto the platform. And we realize that there's a whole sector of people that maybe have really bad internet access or don't even have smartphones. They just have the regular small phones that can send messages and make phone calls. So how do we get to these people? And so what we decided to do was to create a USSD feature so they don't have to have internet. They can just do the short code. And with that, they can speak to a doctor. They can purchase their medicines as well just by dialing the short code. So yes, we're a tech-enabled pharmacy, but we still capture the offline customers as well. These are some things that really, really excites me about the platform.
That is so impressive. I'm happy I asked this question.
Thank
I
you
like
very
how
much.
inclusive the platform is. Like you're not just tailoring to people who have access, you're also like tailor the platform to people who don't have internet access. And then this multilingual feature that you have, like that is so impressive.
Thank you so much. It's exciting.
This is so cool. Well, I think like something that I think a lot of people are talking about more these days is how the journey of being a founder isn't so easy. And you're combining this with like your experience with managing pharmacy, healthcare, all this stuff. Like what keeps you motivated to do this, even when it feels like the system isn't catching up enough, or you're just like frustrated by some because it's Nigeria, some things are not working.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows this, but I would say the journey of being a founder, because it's continuous, it's not a glamorous one.
Yeah.
It's late nights, it's, constant problem solving, it's learning to make very, very big decisions with limited resources. There are days when it feels like everything is moving so slowly. And it's just problem everywhere, problem, problem, problem. I just like, oh my God, what is going on again? And, you know, what keeps me going, I will be cliche and say, is just remembering why I started. People that now have access to safe medicines because of what we've built, or a text message or email or WhatsApp message from someone saying, thank you very much. You really helped me. The advice you gave me, or, the other time I interacted with you guys, it saved me from X and X or such and such, or making a dangerous choice. I also like to remind myself that every tough day is giving me experience and, strength. I would say more of resilience that I will need for bigger stages that I hope I can take on as we grow. So when you see your work actually changing people's life, it makes the very hard days worth it. And you're like, okay, that's cool. I don't mind doing this. And as long as people still need what we're building, then I don't think we're going to stop.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really insightful. Okay. So we are headed towards the end of the podcast. It has been very, very interesting. So what's your long-term vision for Miriam Gray, and what kind of change do you want to see in the Nigerian health space?
For me, I probably have one line to answer. The dream is very, very simple. I want people to have a country in Nigeria where safe medicine are very easy to get, as easy as we open our windows and see sunlight, as easy as we breathe in oxygen. That's how easy I want people to access safe medications. I want us to have a country that makes quality healthcare very available to every single household. It's not just for a select few, it's for every single person, whether you are in Banana Island in Lagos or you're in Sabongari or you're in Yanopaja, you're certain that when I get plugged in, I will get answers to all my health related questions. That's the dream. That's the long-term vision for Mariam Grey.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I have two more questions for you. So next question is, what would you tell 15-year-old you?
What would I tell 15-year-old me? I'm just going to throw in something here. I know it doesn't really add up. Okay. I remember weirdly, I remember stuff when I was a child, and there are people that say they don't have thoughts, so they can't remember things that happened maybe last week or something. Sorry, I just threw that in because you said 15-year-old me. I just remembered I had a conversation. So what would I tell 15-year-old me? I tell 15-year-old Jennifer, don't be in a rush to have it all figured out. Just chill. Every setback that you encounter, every strange thing, every unexpected turn will teach you something that you learn from a book that you cannot learn from school. So I would tell her, be very inquisitive. Is that the word? Always ask questions. Don't be afraid to take up space in any single room, even if you feel like your voice is the tiniest. These are the rooms that will shape you. Most importantly, don't ever feel like whatever you're thinking of innovating is too different. What seems strange today will one day become your biggest strength and it will become very normal. So no matter how confused you seem, if you don't know what's going to happen, don't worry, you get there. Just lock in. It gets better.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, and now the final question is, for somebody who wants to learn more about your work at Mariam Grey, or they want to connect with you, like where are the best places?
Okay, definitely. You can reach out to us on social media. The best way to connect to us or connect with us is online. Our website is www.mariamgrey.com, Grey. We're active on Instagram. We're active on LinkedIn. We're active on X and TikTok. All the same username at Mariam Grey RX, MariamGRX, across all social media platform. Or you can just do a Google search for Mariam Grey Pharmacy. So if you want quick health tips or you want to order medications, you can send us a DM. You can use our website. You can use the live chat. You can also speak to Mommy Grey on the website. We're literally one call away.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I will include the links in the show notes and in the description for our listeners. And I like that you emphasize that it's Grey with an E because it's the English.
Exactly.
All right. And it's a wrap. So thank you so much, Jennifer. It's been amazing speaking with you.
It was been so fantastic. It's been so enjoyable, and I had a really long day today, but this sort of is like a little wellness break, and I enjoyed it so much. So thank you so much. I am happy to come on the podcast any other time. It was super amazing, and I did learn a thing or two chatting with you. And yeah, thanks a lot. It was refreshing.
All right, I'm so happy to hear that. And I think for the listeners, I think maybe they may want to know that like we're in AWEC cohort 8 together.
Yay!
Hi again. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Blush and Bloom. I'm so glad you joined me for this conversation. If you found it helpful, please share this episode with a friend or someone who might need it. Let's keep talking about women's health and working towards better outcomes for all of us. You can find more episodes and resources at www.asale.tech and check out our app at www.asale.health. And you can follow us for more updates on Instagram at asale.tech. Until next time, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care and bye-bye.